You wouldn't believe what happened that night on Route 9. People say I am lucky to be alive. Welcome, my friend, to TStoriesX, the world of horror. Let's get started. The headlights sliced through the fog like dying stars, revealing only the endless black ribbon of asphalt ahead. My hands trembled on the wheel, not from cold, but from the silence. No crickets, no wind, just the hum of tires on wet road. I had left the city at 11:47 p.m., chasing a midnight urge to visit my grandmother's abandoned farmhouse. The GPS died exactly at mile marker 63, its screen cracking with a spider web of static. A crow smashed into the windshield, exploding in a burst of feathers and blood, then vanished as if it had never been there. I swerved, heart slamming against my ribs, but the road remained empty behind me. No body, no feathers, just a single red smear that wouldn't wipe away. The radio crackled to life, playing a lullaby my mother used to sing, one she hadn't sung in 20 years. I turned it off, but the melody continued, whispering from the vents like a child's breath. A figure stood in the middle of the road, small and pale, wearing a soaked white dress. I slammed the brakes, tires shrieking, but the car didn't slow, as if gliding on oil. The girl didn't move, her head tilted unnaturally to the side, eyes hollow and black. We passed through her like smoke, and the temperature inside the car dropped to freezing. Frost bloomed across the dashboard, spelling out 3 letters. Run. I pressed the gas, desperate to escape, but the speedometer read 0 despite the engine roaring. The trees along the roadside began to twist into skeletal hands, reaching, grasping. Their branches scraped the roof like fingernails on bone. A whisper echoed from the back seat. You shouldn't have come back. I spun around. Nothing there. Just my shadow stretching to long in the dim glow. The rearview mirror showed a different car, an old station wagon, rusted and dented. Inside it, a family sat frozen, their faces gray, eyes wide with terror. They turned to look at me, mouths opening in silent screams. Then the mirror went black, reflecting only endless road behind me. A sign flashed past. Welcome to Hollow's End. Population 0. I didn't remember this town existing on any map. The streetlights flickered on, one by one, each casting a sickly green glow. Beneath them, figures stood motionless, watching the car pass. Their faces were blurred, as if painted over with wet ash. I rolled up the windows, but the smell of wet earth and decay poured in anyway. A child's laughter rang from the back seat, high and unnatural. I screamed, gripping the wheel, but the laughter turned into sobbing. A tiny handprint appeared on the inside of the passenger window. It glowed faintly, then faded like a dying ember. The road began to slope downward into a valley shrouded in violet mist. Gravestones lined the path, some cracked, others uprooted, all facing the wrong direction. One bore my name, carved deep into the stone, Elias Vane, born 1989, died. I blinked and it was gone, replaced by a moss-covered slab with no inscription. A church loomed ahead, its steeple broken, stained glass eyes watching from above. The door swung open as I approached, revealing a sanctuary filled with mannequins. Each one wore a wedding dress, their faces cracked porcelain, lips sewn shut. At the altar, a figure knelt, hooded, rocking slowly back and forth. It turned its head, no face, just a smooth, featureless mask of skin. I reversed, but the car wouldn't respond, inching forward like a puppet on strings. The figure rose and walked toward me, bare feet leaving bloody footprints on the stone. I closed my eyes, praying it was a hallucination. When I opened them, I was no longer in the car. I stood in the church, barefoot, wearing a tuxedo I didn't own. The mannequins turned their heads in unison, their stitched mouths twitching. The hooded figure placed a ring in my palm, cold, made of bone. A voice whispered in my ear, "Say yes, and it ends." I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The candles flared, illuminating a mirror behind the altar. In it, I saw myself, older, gaunt, standing beside a woman with hollow eyes and a veil. She lifted her hand, revealing the same ring on her finger. The real me collapsed to my knees, screaming silently. The church dissolved into smoke, and I was back in the car, gasping. The clock on the dashboard read 3:07 a.m., the exact time my mother died. Rain began to fall, but it was thick, dark, and warm, like blood. It pooled on the windshield, dripping into the cabin through invisible cracks. I tasted copper on my tongue. The road twisted into a spiral, descending deeper into the mist. A playground appeared to the left, rusted swings moving in a windless night. On one swing sat a little boy, his back to me, swinging higher and higher. He turned his head 180 degrees, smiling with too many teeth. "Daddy," he said, "you forgot me again. I didn't have a son." The car accelerated on its own, hurtling toward a tunnel mouth shaped like a gaping jaw. Stone teeth lined the entrance, dripping with moss and something darker. I tried to stop, but my hands wouldn't move, frozen in place. The headlights died, plunging me into absolute darkness. Inside the tunnel, whispers surrounded me, overlapping, pleading, cursing. A single light flickered above, a bare bulb swaying from a cord. Beneath it, a woman hung by her neck, bare feet brushing the pavement. Her head lolled toward me, lips peeling into a smile. "You left me," she said, voice gurgling. "You left us both." I didn't recognize her, but my heart knew. The car kept moving, and she vanished behind me. The tunnel stretched impossibly long, walls pulsing like living flesh. Veins throbbed beneath the stone, glowing faintly red. I felt the car breathing, its engine sensing with my heartbeat. My reflection in the rear view began to move on its own, grinning wider than humanly possible. It reached out, pressing a hand against the glass from the inside. I smashed the mirror with my elbow, but it reformed instantly. Now there were two reflections, me and a version with black eyes and a slit throat. It mouthed words I couldn't hear, but understood. She's waiting. The tunnel ended abruptly, opening into a vast field of dead sunflowers. Each flower faced me, stems twisting like necks. In the center stood a small house, windows boarded, door ajar. It was my grandmother's farmhouse, but it had burned down in 1997. The car stopped on its own, engine cutting with a final shudder. The key wouldn't turn to remove it. I pushed the door open, and the night air tasted like burnt hair. My footsteps crunched on something brittle, bones, tiny and fragile. I looked down. A trail of infant skeletons led to the porch. The front door creaked wider, inviting. From inside, the sound of a music box playing a distorted lullaby. I stepped inside, the floorboards groaning beneath me. The walls were covered in photographs, all of me, asleep, unaware. Some showed me as a baby, others as a child, one as an old man with milky eyes. In every photo, a shadow loomed behind me, faceless, arms outstretched. A door at the end of the hall opened by itself, revealing a nursery. The crib was rocking gently, though no one was near it. A stuffed bear sat on the pillow, its button eyes missing, replaced with human teeth. I approached, and the music box stopped. Silence, then a wet, gurgling breath from inside the crib. I leaned over and saw a creature with my face, half-formed, drowning in amniotic fluid. It reached up with webbed fingers, whispering, "You were never supposed to be born." I stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. The bulb shattered, but the room didn't go dark. Instead, it filled with a pale blue glow. Shadows stretched and coiled, forming words on the walls. "You took her life, now give yours." The floor cracked open, revealing a pit of tangled limbs and weeping faces. Hands reached up, grasping at my ankles. I ran, but the hallway stretched longer with every step. Doors slammed shut behind me, sealing my escape. The front door was gone, replaced by a solid wall covered in handprints. All of them small, all of them bloody. I turned, and the nursery door was now right behind me. Inside, the music box played again, faster, frantic. The half-formed thing was crawling out of the crib, dragging itself across the floor. Its mouth opened impossibly wide, screaming in a voice that wasn't sound, but pure dread. The walls began to bleed, thick and black, forming a face, my mother's face. She wept tar, her lips moving. You were the one I buried. I fell to my knees, clutching my head, screaming for it to end. The house collapsed inward, folding like paper into nothing. I was back in the car, driving down a familiar road. Sunrise painted the sky in soft pinks. Birds chirped, the world normal again. I laughed, tears streaming, believing it was over. I pulled into my driveway, exhausted but alive. The house looked peaceful, untouched by horror. I stepped out, slammed the door, and turned to the front porch. There, standing in the morning light, was my wife, smiling, holding a baby. She waved, her smile too wide, her eyes completely black. Behind her, the nursery window cracked open, and the music box began to play. I opened my mouth to scream, but the sound was swallowed by the dawn. The baby turned its head toward me, its face smooth and blank. It opened its mouth and whispered my name in a voice older than time. I fell to my knees, the truth crashing over me like a wave. I had never left Hollow's End. I had never been alive. I was the thing that should never have been born. And the drive, just another loop in the endless night. The car sat empty, keys still in the ignition, engine cold. The house faded like smoke, leaving only a scorched foundation. On the ground, a single photograph, me as a baby, wrapped in a burial shroud. The date on the back read, October 31st, 1989, stillborn. The wind carried the lullaby one last time. And somewhere, deep in the dark, the music box wound itself back up. The road remained, waiting for the next drive. Waiting for the next father who forgot his child. Waiting for you. The headlights flicker in the distance. Another car approaches. Its tires hum the same lullaby. Inside, a man grips the wheel, eyes wide with dread. He sees the sign. Welcome to Hollow's End. Population 0. He slows down, but the car won't stop. The radio crackles. A child's voice sings softly. A small handprint blooms on the passenger window. The trees lean in, whispering his name. He looks in the rear view. His own face stares back, rotting, grinning. The road twists downward, into the mist. The church lights up, candles flaring. The mannequins turn their heads. The altar is set. The ring waits. And the music box begins to play. The cycle continues. No escape. No mercy. Only the drive. Only the night. Only the truth. You're already part of it. Can you feel it? The cold spot in the back seat? The breath on your neck. The handprint on your window. Don't turn around. Don't look. Just drive. But know this, you were never supposed to be born, and the road remembers, always.